Hi, my name is Rebecca and welcome to my channel. I want to say thank you to everyone who hit that subscribe button and say welcome. And thank you so much for supporting my channel. If you don't like what I have in one video, just hang around and you might like what I pull out of my hat in the next one. I have a variety of things that I do. I'm not just married to one DIY. I do several different things and I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. So, welcome to March. It is March the 1st, and I am excited to say hello to spring. And I was disappointed that Easter came so early this year because usually I take down my Valentine's Day decor and I put up St. Patty's Day. And I did not do that this year because I felt like I would just be taking one thing down, putting one thing up, taking one thing down, putting one thing up. And so I wanted to give my Easter and spring things just a little bit more of a season. So I kind of skipped over St. Patty's Day, and that kind of really made me sad because I've always enjoyed decorating for St. Patty's Day. But I did see this little guy hanging at the Dollar Tree. He was new. I did not see him in the stores last year, and I seen him and I thought he was so cute. And I know a lot of people absolutely love gnomes, and I think that they have their time and their place, and so I thought he would be cute to redo, so come craft with me. This is the little leprechaun gnome that I found at the Dollar Tree. I thought he was adorable. I love the orange beard, but he's covered in tinsel. So I found some scrap fabric laying around and I decided to cover up that tinsel and make him a little bit more rustic and high-end looking. I decided where my fabric needed to lay and how big of a piece that I needed. I had found this fabric that coordinated with the black and green check of the hat, and I thought that it coordinated perfectly. I picked up the beard just gently and I started hot gluing the fabric underneath the gnome's beard. I paid special attention to the corners and to the middle part so that it had a nice secure fit. And then I just tucked the ends inward to make sure that the outside edges would look nice and finished. I did not like the way that the ends kind of had the tinsel sticking out from underneath, so that's when I decided that some of that tinsel needed to come off. I pulled a little piece of fabric down to make sure that it was looking the way I wanted it to look, and that's when I figured out that the little knobs, the little knobby pieces on the outside edges that the tinsel had gripped onto were just going to have to come off. So I took my wire cutters and I clipped all of the outside little knobs that had held the tinsel completely off. Where I had stopped unraveling the tinsel, and I had that piece of tinsel just kind of dangling there, I did hot glue that so that it wouldn't come unraveled underneath my fabric. And once I had my fabric and my tinsel all laying nice and smooth and my little knobby pieces on the sides clipped off, I just started hot gluing, running a bead of hot glue around the outside edges and hot gluing my fabric onto the body of my little leprechaun gnome. When I got to the outside edge, I turned my piece over and I hot glued it, and then I folded my fabric over so that it had a nice clean edge, and then I hot glued it again so that everything on the outside would look nice and finished and smooth. I always try to keep in mind that this might be hanging on a glass door or in some area that the back side of the piece will show, so I try to make sure that my work is neat and tidy on the back as well as the front. I wanted my piece to be as smooth, my fabric to lay as smooth as I could, so I ran a bead of hot glue up and around my feet, and I pulled the fabric as tightly as I could around the feet, and then I clipped in between the feet very carefully, and then I just folded that piece in, and I did the same in between the feet on the underneath side, and I pulled that very tightly, as tightly as I could. I didn't want to pull, my fabric loose, but I just made sure that I pulled that in between the feet, and I hot glued that on the back side of my project, and then I folded that in as neatly and tidily as I could on the back side of my project. The feet are raised, and so I took my scissors and I very carefully clipped the fabric right under the where I had hot glued it. There was a little bead of hot glue, and I clipped right along that bead of hot glue, so I was not clipping the fabric that I had glued, but right underneath that hot glue line, and I just clipped that fabric away from the feet so that his little booties would stand out. Then it was time to work on the hat. I removed that tinsel, that gold tinsel off of the hat, and I figured it was just about time for me to take the tag off of the top of the hat. I have no idea why I had not done that before, but now is the time. I did the exact same thing with my piece of fabric. I figured out how wide I wanted to cut it, and I took some pinking shears and I pinked either side of this piece of fabric to the width that I thought would look nice, and then I just laid that over the top of the hat, and I hot glued that to the little hat brim. I pinked it because I did not want it to ravel, and I did not want to fold it over because I did not want it to be bulky. I was working with a very narrow and a high to low angle, and so I was afraid that if I went ahead and I folded my fabric down that I would get a little bit of a bulky line, and I just did not want that. So I just decided that pinking shears was going to work, and it would give this a little bit of character and kind of add to the rustic quality of my piece and give him a little bit of quirk. When I got to the edge, I did fold it over, and then I made sure that I folded it kind of like an envelope, and it had a nice finished edge. I decided that I wanted to cover up the little booties that were on the feet. And so I had a little bag of twine that I kind of a little mishmash bag that I keep little scraps in. And so I decided to glue some twine onto the feet. I just ran a little bead of hot glue and started laying my twine in and kind of folding it back and forth over the top of the boots. I hot glued about 4 rows of twine. It's just jute twine from the Dollar Tree, and then it covered up the boots very nicely, gave it kind of a little bit of a rugged, rustic appearance, a nice little detail. And I did this on both of the boots of my little leprechaun gnome. He was cute. He was cute before. He had a lot of glittery tinsel on him, but I really prefer things to be more rustic looking, and so I thought that the twine, the jute twine, and the fabric, it just kind of made him pop a little bit more. So once I had the twine cut off, I thought he needed just a little bit of something more. So I rolled my jute twine just in a shoelace bow, end over end, just rolled it back and forth, back and forth. And when I got as many loops as thought I needed, as I was comfortable with, then I just knotted it really tight in the center and clipped that off. And I decided where I wanted my little shoelace bow to lay, and I hot glued that on his hat. I traded the satin ribbon hanger out for a jute twine hanger, and I just a very simple knot to hang him up with, and he's really cute. He did not take a lot to redo. He's just a little Dollar Tree wall decor piece that I feel like has been elevated into something that looks a little bit more high end, and he is ready for St. Patty's Day. I am loving the orange beard and the rustic leprechaun gnome. So I apologize if you are looking for more St. Patrick's Day crafts and DIYs on this channel. That is the only one that I did because I do have a lot in my arsenal. So maybe next year there will be a lot more time in between the seasons and the holidays, and I can pull a few more out because I do love St. Patrick's Day. It was always a big deal in our family. My dad always preached his traditional St. Patrick's Day sermon on St. Patrick's, and it was, you know, our family comes from Joy's country in Ireland, and it's always been a big deal in our family. So I'm kind of disappointed myself that there wasn't a lot of time this year to give St. Patrick's Day its due this year. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell so that you know when I've uploaded my next video. Give me a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching Crafts, Laughs, and Chaos.